Hello and welcome back to EastEnders Weekly, your weekly podcast all about Rob Kaczynski.
Oh, you tried. Bless you.
All about Sean
Slater. Yes.
Rob Kaczynski.
If he's listening, I'm sure he's very proud of you for trying.
Yes, the news broke that Sean Slater's returning.
Yes, which is great news.
Kate Oates is working her magic.
She is already. So this really is a sign of what Kate Oates has the power of doing. And because we saw it in Coronation Street, she was able to bring cast members who wouldn't necessarily think about returning, or you wouldn't really think about should return, and integrate them. It's only for a short period, though. He's not going to be a main character.
She teased it on her hashtag Ask Kate Oates, where she said someone's returning for spring, temporary.
Yes.
But it would be a very big character. So yeah.
And then of the evening of Thursday, there was lots of information slowly leaking out, and there was lots of speculation. And then at 10 p.m, it was finally announced that it was going to be Sean Slater coming back to cause some trouble on the square, because there's a lot of links he has, doesn't he? He has Ruby, and he has.
Hopefully, he'll take Ruby with her.
With him.
Yeah, get rid of her. She can hook up with him and leave.
Well, not necessarily, because they've left on bad terms. No, because I think she'll be very angry to see him.
Do you think she'll see him and think like, Stace, I gave up a daughter 12 years ago. That'd be a good story, wouldn't it?
Well, poor Ruby, she's going through the mill. So
she gave her baby up from her and Sean when they were together. She gave him up when she gave birth to him. She kept it secret this whole time. Sean's come back. It's all going to come out.
With the baby? I brought my baby back, Ruby. You abandoned her.
No, I'm amazed that she got him, because he's in the middle of filming like a Marvel film. And she's still got him to come back, which is incredible.
Yeah, he's coming back whilst he's still filming the Marvel film.
So that's insane. Right, so I'm just going to start off with some comments already from people.
Oh, okay. So, right. Okay, we're not doing the intro yet. Carry on.
No, we're still on the all about.
Oh,
we're still on that joke.
Sorry.
Still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is brilliant.
So, this is all about Sean's return. I can't say his name because it's got swear words in it, but it's I effing hate blah blah. That's his name. He says, love that. Kate Oates is already doing 10 times better than the last few showrunners, and she hasn't even hit the screens yet.
Very true.
Oz Legend says, one of the 3 characters I'd like a return from, the others being Janine and David Wicks.
Not fussed about David Wicks.
No, Simon Wicks.
Simon Wicks, absolutely. Get him on board. I mean, Janine is almost a given, because everyone wants Janine back. So
she's got to come back, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And Rose Hudson says, I was absolutely buzzing when I opened Facebook and saw that post last night. I love Sean Slater so much. He's one of my all-time favourite characters, not to mention super hot. They better not kill him off.
Oh, they won't kill him off. But he, like I say, it'd be like Alfie Moon, but much more of an impact and more interesting.
Yeah. And Patrick says, I have waited for this for years. When Rita Simmons left and he wasn't asked back even then, despite saying he would come back only for her exit, I lost any hope of ever seeing him again. What a great day. That's interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. Maybe he was as upset as we were that Roxy and Ronnie were killed off.
Sean O'Connor, couldn't arrange that dinner.
No, absolutely
not like Kate did. I wonder what she cooked him for dinner to convince him.
Kate Oates?
Yeah, that's what they do, don't they? They invite them for dinner.
Oh, they probably went to a restaurant. I don't think she would have cooked.
What do you think she paid?
A Jane Plan meal.
She put it on the BBC tab.
Oh yeah, contactless, up to £1,000.
Anyway, no, this isn't about Sean Slater. This podcast.
I thought it was.
5 minutes later. It's about EastEnders.
Of course it is.
And we are discussing episodes that were broadcast between the 14th and the 18th of January.
I am Alex, by the way.
You are, and I am Ben, the alleged host. So we're starting off this week's topics. I mean, the storylines, the first half of the week was just a write-off for me because it was just the same as last week. So they're the same storylines, basically. So we're going to start off with Tiff this week. And Dennis had a drone. Was it a Christmas present, do you think?
Well, it's a very late Christmas present from Phil. I mean, Phil looks so...
Maybe Sharon sent it from Australia. It's only just arrived.
Maybe it flew from Australia to Gatwick. That was all the problems. I mean, Phil felt seemed very pleased with himself when he was flying that drone around. He was like,
I know.
he was like really
It's
happy.
like he bought it for himself, not really for Dennis.
Yeah, but then he kind of gave the reins to Dennis, and Dennis had full control of it as well. I'm under the impression that drones are very difficult to fly, so Dennis has the skills.
Did you enjoy the camera work this week?
What, from the drone?
The drone?
Yeah, I know. I mean, we knew they had a drone in the EastEnders closet because they used it for Peggy's death.
Exactly.
So
that's not on a crane, isn't it? No, they've upgraded.
No. They used a drone because I watched the behind-the-scenes documentary about it. So they flew from the window where Peggy was sat taking her pills over the square, and they used a drone for that. So presumably they bought that drone and decided, well,
maybe Peggy left it for Dennis in her will.
Maybe.
I mean, we were all trying to sort of, when we were watching it, we were trying to guess like, they keep showing drone footage. When they show something, which is a bit unordinary, it means it's going to reveal something.
Something's about to happen with it.
But it did reveal something like straight away. It like panned across Dr. Legg's door. So
that's true. More on that later.
Yes.
Stay listening.
So was that the reveal? There's some Shianu topic.
No, I don't think that is the reveal. I think it's going to be Evie related, because when Dennis gets his second drone, because Tiff deliberately breaks the drone so she can get him in the gang.
Evie's forcing Tiff to replace Rat, because Rat's now on the back burner.
That's right.
And there's like a slight thing in the cafe between Dennis and Phil and Evie, isn't there?
Rat's face is recognisable by the police now, so Evie tells Tiff that because it was Tiff's fault, that she needs to find a new soldier. And she's got her eyes on Dennis, because Dennis laughed at Evie earlier, which was unfair. Evie picked up Phil's wallet.
And he was horrible.
And he was like, stole it from me, boy, like. And Dennis was like, that's my dad. And it was really unfair. So in a way, I sympathise with Evie wanting a revenge. Possibly her revenge will go a bit too far. There's no question about it. But at the same time, if someone laughed at me when I was trying to do a charitable thing, I'd be pretty ticked off.
I mean, we're under the impression on this podcast that Jagger and Evie are the same character but being replaced.
They are.
Was this thing in the cafe just a quick thing? Because Phil obviously beat up the gang and Jagger earlier and saved Dennis. Is this like a quick, like the same sort of thing to make Evie not like Phil?
Yeah, probably.
I guess this is.
I mean, and also Phil can't really relate the gang to Evie, so he obviously has no idea that they're linked. Because otherwise, he probably would have been he probably would have had justification of being a bit harsher with Evie. But again, Dennis doesn't learn. Dennis just stands there and laughs. It's like that time we went, "Hey!" when he stood outside the Archers. Yeah. It's like, oh, for goodness sake, Dennis, you're really not either of your father's son. Like,
no,
Dennis
not got this brain to see that Den
Senior had, and he doesn't have the brawn that his stepdad Phil has. He has the looks though that Sharon has. Clearly, he's going to grow up to be a dashing young lad.
Well, Sharon needs to get back, because Evie's plan to get Dennis on board is to undo a few buttons on Tiff's top, put some lip gloss on, and sway him to join the gang.
Well, put a bit of makeup around her eye as well, because Evie had other persuasions to make Tiff do what she wants.
Yeah, haven't had a slap in ages. That was good.
That was a slap. That was a dry slap. I mean, the whole cafe stood and took attention to that. I mean, if you heard that from the market stalls, Shrimpy's hat rose from his head as that slap happened.
One came to see if Tiff was okay though in the cafe.
Because everyone's scared of Evie.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Is that what?
she's the queen of the square.
Maybe. But no, that was a good slap. I like that. And the red mark on her face for like 3 days after. That was fun.
Yeah, because even when she put makeup, it was very good makeup, actually. Kudos to the makeup department. Because it looked like she was covering up a slap, the bruise, the mark on her face, which was really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, so a few people took offence to the fact that they had the storyline where Tiff was trying to seduce the 13-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, how old is Tiff? 15, 16?
Yeah, 16, isn't 16.
She? I mean, you can't tell because she never goes to school, so it's very difficult to know her age nowadays. No mention. I mean, last year and the year before that, like there were so many heavy mentions of, I've got to do my GCSEs. Shaquille's doing his A-levels. He's doing a music program for summer school.
Music.
Floppy music. And there's no reference to that at all. They've kind of gone back to their.
No, Evie keeps telling Tiff to bunk off, I think, like every now and then. She does keep mentioning it.
But does the school not notify the family?
They're sending letters to Bianca, aren't they? Bianca don't care.
Bianca's busy with her
new
family.
Throwing bricks through windows and
laying on the grass, looking at the sky and dreaming.
She's on a cruise, isn't she? Still, I think that's the last thing
she was. Now?
That's the last thing she was doing. She went on a cruise and left Tiff on her own. That's why Tiff turned up at Whitney's.
Oh, she can't still be on that. Tiff turned up months ago.
Yeah, world cruise.
Maybe she's on the same cruise as Kathy. Maybe Kathy joined the cruise.
Yeah, and Sharon and Michelle.
Explains it.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the week with this storyline, it was just Tiff trying to show Dennis the high life of being in a gang.
Yeah, because Dennis was a bit nervous about joining the gang at first because he saw Sticks and Bunhead were there, and he was like, "Whoa," and then ran away. But Tiff convinced him, Jagger's not there anymore, and Jagger was the ringleader, and he was the one who was winding everyone up. And so when they're in McClunky's, because McClunky's always is the place where they kind of do the deals, isn't it? Where they hang around, eat chicken, and take drugs.
She bought him a box of chicken nuggets. Said, "I got 2 by accident."
Yeah,
and pushed it to him.
And then gave Evie. It's like, "You like chocolate, don't you?"
No, strawberry.
Oh, was it strawberry? Sweets. Obs, obviously, strawberry.
That's what she said. Obs, love.
But she was watching, wasn't she? She was almost like a pimp, where she watched like Tiff and Dennis at the table, like going on this really awkward date, and she was like,
she kissed him on the cheek.
She did.
She likes kissing people, Tiff, doesn't she?
It's
like her go-to move.
Well, it's because Evie
she tried to kiss Evie, didn't she? And Evie said, "No, that's
away.
not what I want."
Yeah, because that's power, isn't it? So the kiss is the way you get the power. So Evie does it by saying, "If you've been a good girl, Tiff, you get to kiss me." And Tiff kind of gives it to Dennis as if to say, "You've been good, so you get."
It's like the Godfather, like kissing the hand. Or
yeah, it is.
It's a bit weird.
Going to Evie to ask for a favour.
It's a bit much, but I mean, Dennis is looking like he wants to join the gang.
Well, Dennis always wanted to be part of the gang, hence why he did the mobile phone ring 9 months ago. He wanted to be cool with the gang. It's like he ordered black coffee, and he always wanted to be part of it, but was pushed out of it because of Jagger. And so now that's gone. The equation kind of lets him an in, doesn't it?
So yeah, I mean, it's all kicking off.
All over a drone.
I know.
So technically it's Phil's fault because he bought that drone.
Yeah, needs Sharon back. She needs to sort them out. Get us trainers on, slip-ons.
Well, Dennis even says that if my mum knew I was here, she'd kill me. And so he knows full well that Sharon will not approve.
Well, we've got the Sharon swearing on Dennis's life still to happen. So
that was a big mistake, Sharon. We haven't forgot that.
No, I will never forget. Yeah, interesting where this is going to go. This is one of the better ones this week.
Again, I've seen that people tend to have a bit of reserved opinion on Evie, but I'm really enjoying Evie's character, and I think it's really grown this week. I think less is more with Evie. If she's just kind of prompts a few things and then watches it happen in front of her, that's better for her character than to make her.
She's decent.
Last week when she had her doing that big scream at the end, and never, that did kind of taint her a little bit.
Too many nevers.
Too many nevers. Never.
Too many. Too many nevers. So the next storyline is the revolving door storyline of the Slaters and Hayley.
Yes, as you said last week, it's always the same and it always resolves.
So this week it's Hayley running away again, basically.
Yeah, but we did worry that we had hints of Alfie's story beginning again, where he was tricking them and he was getting into trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, he stole food from Ian's fridge so he can make a fry-up, so he can pull the wool over Cat's eyes.
I mean, he still did horrible things, because we found out his scam on his funeral service of offering it to like young people, so he thinks he'll die before they die, so he won't ever have to pay them back.
Yeah, it's a weird plan, because if you're collecting stamps for Christmas, for instance, like at a supermarket, or you're doing like a plan where you get like vouchers at the end of the year, but you put a little bit in every month, that's a short-term thing. I mean, are you planning to invest in this funeral for like years and years on end? Because he only had people under 30.
Yeah. So, one of them died. Uh-oh.
Well, one surprisingly did die.
Didn't plan that.
He did not, because he spent all the money on the fireplace and the attic conversion. He's still working on that attic conversion, Alfie, as well. Later in I think Tuesday's episode, he's banging away, because Jean had a bit of a funny week. Like, she would just randomly say things. When Alfie was in the attic, she was going, "It's just a woodpecker." And she was talking about her sausage. Later in the week, she was talking about her sausage surprise, but it's not really a surprise. It's just sausages. Well, I suppose there's beans in it. I suppose baked beans is a surprise. And she was like really going off on one.
Maybe they're doing the slow burn for the big storyline in the spring with Jean. They're like putting droplets in now. Yeah,
but Jean's still stable. She's always had that kind of mad edge to her.
She's been under quite a lot of stress, though, this year.
It is the stress, I think.
Yeah.
But no one seems to care.
No.
Like 2 weeks ago, when they were suspecting that she wasn't taking her meds because Alfie was hiding them or whatever we discovered it was happening, people really seemed interested in what was happening with Jean. Now Jean is showing signs of madness, where she's kind of just spritting around. She talks about her dream she had of Hugh Edwards, and she was married to him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like... everyone just seemed to think, oh, that's Jean.
Yeah.
It's almost like a comedy. Like you expected, like the Looney Tunes, like the theme music to play at the end. It was like, oh, that's Jean, and that was the end of it. I feel like no one's taking any notice of Jean now. She is actually slowly showing signs of madness.
Well, all the focus is on Hayley, isn't it?
Well, I suppose
because she's even in worse state. She's got the vodka bottles back again in her bags. Haven't seen them for a while.
I know, her big bag. She always has this big bag, and it's just one
That's
vodka
her
bottle.
go-to, isn't it? Like when she went to her old flat and was on top of that tower block, it was the vodka in the bag then.
No, she was drinking cider then.
Oh, was
I
it
think.
cider?
Yeah. But she did. It was bottles of cider because she dropped one, didn't she?
Yeah.
It made Jean jump. She was like, oh.
Alfie's still working his way, trying to convince everyone that maybe him and Kat should look after Cherry, and Hayley's not very up. He's not really up to it. She's tired, even though she's only had her back like 2 days.
Yeah, well, they did say that she's had a lot has happened to her in a short space of time, which to be fair has. She thought she murdered Alfie. She almost had her baby sold. She
The whole Christmas has just been forgotten though. It's really bad.
Well,
you could have missed Christmas week and just watched now and wouldn't even know it happened. Like they're all just having dinner with Alfie. Or like going to the Vic with Alfie for a birthday. It's like...
Yeah, that was really odd. And again, they kind of Alfie tried to pay with his card contactlessly, and he couldn't pay, so he just gave a £20 note. And it was like really weird that they were trying to just
it's
nail...
really badly written. Like with
what...
soap storylines, when you have that big, this is a moment where the big secret's revealed. What you look forward to is then like the weeks afterwards is the repercussions of it all. That's what you really want to like see, don't you? But it's just all being forgotten.
But there's never a repercussion to anything with the Slaters. It's like every week it just starts afresh. It's like the restart button starts again, like as you say, and so everything before that has been forgotten.
Do you think the trouble is because they've been on there for like coming up to 20 years now? So every time something happens, another character just pops in and says, "You can't judge. You did this, 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 and this," and it's like, oh, and that sort of puts a dud on the story writing because everyone in that house has already done what has just come out.
I know what you're saying,
because Hayley today, she went through every single person and basically brought up 20 years worth of storylines and said, so none of you can judge me. And it's like, she has a point actually. It's a bit difficult for writing characters that way when they have such history.
Yeah, especially soap characters, because soap characters have such a big history, such a black mark, like every year that something big happen. You're right, and I think the Slaters acknowledged that Hayley was right. But at the same time, they said, they kind of said, yeah, but besides all that, you still need help, Hayley, because you're clearly showing signs of distress and you can't really cope very well. And Hayley didn't really want to take that on board. She felt like, they mentioned it a couple of times, she felt like it was a Kat and Zoe situation. So they thought that they were that Alfie and Kat
take her from her and not let her know she was her mum and stuff.
Exactly, and so pretend that they're the parents. And Alfie was the first one to say, well, no, this isn't what we're trying to do. We're just saying that you need a little bit of help. But Alfie's not the most trusted person because there's signs we already know that he's now conning Ian Bill, which, by the way, was ridiculous. The way he was like, I'm going to go ask Jack. Oh, Jack? Oh, no, I'm sure I can have a look at that proposal. It's like, does that really
same
work?
Thing happen when Masood said something about business like last year, and didn't Ian like jump up and say, "Oh no, I'll invest then"?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm sure the same thing happened.
Probably, but it's such a silly thing because you wouldn't, especially if you're investing a lot of money.
It's just cheap characterizing for Ian Bill. It's like the first thing that that he'll do that. It's a bit cheap.
If he's challenged, he'll step forward. Yeah.
Hayley did give up Cherry in the end, like temporarily we thought, but she then leaves the house and
for vodka.
Yes, and she's asleep on the toilet before this because she's drunk vodka and stuff. This is how Cherry in the thing.
This is how it all starts because they said if the bath was running and you left Cherry in the bath and we hadn't found out, then Cherry would be drowned by now.
And then it turns out that she jumped in front of the van.
Yes, so there was a big at the end of Thursday's episode. She gets hit by a van, and if you're like me, you watch the clip about 10 times because I started seeing on Twitter a lot of people were saying she did that on purpose.
Yeah,
and so
she did.
And she did. We found out that she did do it on purpose. She wanted to end her own life.
Thanks to Louise.
Well, yes, thanks to Louise and Keanu, who spotted it.
But I mean, she's tried to commit suicide quite a few times this year. Like, is it 3 times?
Well, she was sat on the balcony of, and that's when she was still carrying Cherry.
And when wasn't there a suicide? I'm not sure if it was suicide, but there was that bit when she was homeless and she was on the tube and she was drinking and wanting to not live anymore and stuff like that.
Well, again, she was carrying Cherry,
Yeah.
so I don't think that was so much she was trying to kill herself. I think she was trying to get Cherry out through alcoholism.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real dark storyline, but do you think end game for Hayley, are they going to have her commit suicide, or is this going to be like an ongoing mental health thing with her? Because she's attempted it quite a few times.
I mean, there's in the hospital, Hayley asks, am I going to be like Jean? And so I think she's recognising the signs that she has this, and obviously it's in the family, isn't it? There's this family.
Well, Kat says
disease.
no, it's not like Jean is. But yeah, I mean, that was a really good scene with Kat and Hayley in the hospital, because she wanted to speak to her first before anyone else, and she didn't let any of the other Slaters know that Hayley jumped in front of the car on purpose.
Yeah, she wanted to talk to Hayley privately. I mean, Jessie Wallace has been really good this week. She shows when she can get her teeth into something, she does it well. It's just that you don't know. Again, Alfie and Kat are very similar, where they can sometimes manipulate people to get what they want. Hence why they said it on this week's episode, we're perfect for each other because we're the same. We both will get what we want.
Yeah,
from
and you
each
don't
other.
know what Kat's saying now is because, unknowing to her, she's been slightly manipulated by Alfie to sort of say these things to get Cherry. But I mean, she does sort of say to Hayley, we need to look after Cherry while you sort yourself out. And that's how it's sort of left, with Hayley sort of agreeing to that and being left in hospital. So
so she's in hospital now, but
been here before.
We've been in this situation before. So
now, is she going to run away to the Ahmeds next week?
Who knows?
This is the cycle.
Yeah, I know. But this is it. This is the Slater cycle.
Will there be a Bev? Well, Bev not back. No, she'll be back the week after. I think.
Bev's been shunned, so I don't know if she comes back all sweetness and light.
3-4 weeks, Bev is.
Yeah, because Hayley did bring up a lot about Jean this week, and it was only from what she heard from Bev, her mum, last week. So that's obviously gone into her head, hasn't it? And I think
I was really impressed with the storylines that Hayley brought up. She mentioned the baby swap storyline, which I thought had been blacklisted from the BBC's history.
Yeah.
So that was impressive. And they brought up Kat's son from Redwater. So that's interesting.
Will he be back? Will he be coming in
all
for a
these
cameo?
things that we've been waiting for. So it was good. And I mean, before we move on to the next subject, one last thing on the Slaters. Big Mo's got a new haircut, which I quite enjoyed.
Yes, well, you compared
fun.
You compared it to Rihanna's cut in what 2008 or
someone around
then.
But yeah, she got a new haircut.
Yeah,
she's been busy.
She has. There's something else that's related to the Slater story. Also, we should say that the Keanu and Louise development is beginning with the driving lessons and their relationship, and Phil's approval.
Oh yeah,
of their
invited him for tea, and he said yes. Said no, then yes, then walked in
because they were both shaken by the situation, and Phil has taken Keanu under his arm, and this, as we know, this is going to be the development of a new story with Keanu and Phil.
Sharon needs to get back quick.
She really does. Get your legs over here, Sharon.
Get your legs or over the table again.
Yes.
Right, so we're going to go on next to our ongoing feature, which is Julia's Legacy. Welcome back to another part of Julia's Legacy.
One of many to come.
Yes, there is a lot coming up.
I mean,
in 1 year soon as well. So.
Well, yeah, because we're just this week we're finishing off the noughties, aren't we? We're doing the last of the and something, and there wasn't that many in this kind of period of time. But then, as soon as the, I suppose you call it the tens kicked in, it suddenly becomes inundated with them. Yeah.
So we're going through from 9th of June 2006 to 27th of August 2009.
Yes, we're discussing all the episodes that have had Julia's theme that played at the end of the episode.
Yes. So we're saying goodbye to quite a few iconic characters and one not so quite.
Well, two not so quite.
Oh yeah, there is two.
Yeah. Easily forget.
So the first one we are doing today is the 9th of June 2006, which sees Grant and Courtney Mitchell leave Walford to live in Portugal.
Yes, it's all under a cloak of suspicion and betrayal because Grant came back to Walford with his girlfriend Carla, who he'd met in Rio.
This was the time when Grant came back. He came back for like a year, didn't he?
Yeah.
Had like his final It was meant to be his like final goodbye.
And he had an affair with Jane.
Yeah.
Which Ian, even when he left, Ian didn't even know about.
No.
It was still a secret even then.
And they had like a nice moment because that wasn't like the main storyline of Grant leaving, but they had like a nice scene with Jane and Grant on the phone to each other, which I thought was quite nice.
Yeah, when
that they bothered to actually do that.
Yeah, because Jane was very upset that he had left without saying goodbye. This is right at the very end, and then Grant phones Jane and is basically says like some really nice stuff that she was very special and she should never sell herself short. And as he says that line, and they go back to the shot of Jane in the cafe with Ian Beale complaining about the number of tea leaves in a tea bag, it kind of, we all felt for Jane at that point.
Yeah, bless her.
This is when our sympathy for Jane was at the most extended.
I liked their relationship because it's not something that you initially would expect to be like Jane and Grant together. It's not something you automatically think they'd go together, but it's quite nice.
I mean, whenever anyone gets together with Ian, normally if they have an affair, it is a Mitchell because it's the most extreme from Ian, isn't it? So Ian's kind of like a slimy, very attached. He has issues because people around him seem to disappear. Kathy is still dead at this point, or believed to be dead at this point.
Yes, there's a Kathy mention later.
There
with
is.
the Frank funeral.
But obviously the main story is that Grant is organising his goodbyes with leaving the square, but at first he thinks he has to pay off someone to keep a secret.
Ray.
Ray.
Yes. And his wife to be Carla, she's like conning Grant and then going off with Ray.
Yes.
But Grant knows this, but she doesn't know that Grant knows. And Peggy also knows.
Yeah, Peggy also knows, but she's been told to go to the cafe and be quiet.
And,
we saw Ben as well, young Ben.
Yes, he was there.
It was nice to see him with his sticky bun in his bag. And Billy. Billy was also, trusted to be involved with the Mitchell business.
Billy's always there.
I know, but this is when Billy was still... He was told what was happening, and he was always the kind of the... not the bodyguard, the babysitter, I suppose, for the person to keep them away while the plan unfolds somewhere else.
I mean, Grant, he's quite obvious that he knows, but she's like, she thinks she's gotten away with it, so she's not really hearing what he says, and she's using her like sexual charm to confuse him.
But also her womb, she's using her womb because she's promising him a baby. She's like, oh, if we go away and we give the money to Ray, I'll give you a baby. And
they do have sex, so she could be pregnant for all we know. Is there another Mitchell out there?
We don't know if a protection was used.
It wouldn't have been because they're trying for a baby.
Yeah, but we knew she was lying to Grant.
So she might have been. Oh, right, yeah, of course.
Or something like that. So
but yeah, there might be a Mitchell somewhere.
So there's another Mitchell hanging around to come into the soap.
But it all does come out in the end. And he picks her up, takes her out of the Vic. Peggy gives her a last slap and says, "Get out my Vic."
Well, she hurts her hand as well because she has to put her hand in a bucket of
ice.
She
puts it in.
And
that was a good one, Peg.
Yeah, Billy says that was a good one. And she, thank you, Billy.
And then puts her in a dumpster.
Yeah, puts her in what's soon to become Robbie's cart for putting the trash out, because she runs away thinking she had the money, didn't she? But it was all Phil's dirty laundry. Yeah, so he literally aired his dirty laundry with her. Grant was a really smarmy throughout, like you said, and it was so obvious as a viewer that what he was doing. It was like, "Oh, my darling, shall I make you some toast? Oh, darling, let's go away to Portugal." And it was not like, it was weird to see Grant in this kind of comical, cartoony way.
It was strange. It wasn't the best episode. It was okay. I thought the little girl who played Courtney was really good.
Yeah, she was amazing.
I do like Courtney. When she came back like 2 years ago for 3 months. Bring her back.
Well, she's got her mother's sass, but her dad's punch. And so it'd be a really nice character to bring back.
But they had an exit going up the escalators, hand in hand.
They did.
So yeah, it was
one small bag each, like it's the way of EastEnders. You're going away to live somewhere else for the rest of your life. Don't bother packing anything. Just pack a few clothes.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. But I mean, yeah, he got everything he wanted. All the secrets were out, and all his sort of storylines were tied up in a nice little bow, and off he went.
And Phil gave him his share of the money that he gave to Phil as a parting gift. But obviously, since then, there's been tensions between Phil and Grant when Grant returned a couple of years ago. But this was Grant's official goodbye.
Yeah, this was meant to be. And talk about people who are meant to have left but have come back again. Our next one is the 2nd of February 2007, where Martin Fowler and Sonia Fowler leave Walford with Rebecca to live in Manchester together, and they had a Julius theme, and that was meant to be the end. It was this was the beginning of the end of the Fowlers, because Pauline Fowler had died recently, Martin's left and Sonia's left. So it was like
the Fowler house had had a fire as
it.
well, so that was kind of the end of that.
That was it, and Ian then obviously inherits the house that way.
Mm.
So yeah, it's the end of like the original family really, with Martin leaving. And I know that Pauline Fowler, when she said she got killed off and that she heard that Martin was leaving, she's Wendy Richards said, "Oh, it's sad because that is the last Fowler, and now he's gone." So yeah, that's sad, that house. I mean, it's just weird seeing it empty like that, isn't it?
It was weird to see it how it was all. It looked really dirty and not unloved as well. I mean, in the classic episodes of EastEnders, yes, it looks worn and tattered, the house,
but it's still polished.
It's still polished. It's still clean. Yeah, by Lou, Lou if she can, spit polish.
Martin and Sonia left together. They open up. They had like a one night stand thing the night before.
Sonia's leaving, and they ended up sleeping together. And Martin gets the wrong end of the stick and thinks that this could be the beginning of them being back together. And Sonia immediately vetoes it and says, "No, we're not good together."
One of my favourite lines that I think I've heard in recent history, when he finds out it was just like a one night thing, and he says, "Oh well, I could have given you a knee shaking by the bin if that's all you wanted."
I mean, Martin has a history now of like just doing it anywhere and everywhere. Dot's kitchen table, and this shaking by the bin. Yeah. I mean, Martin must be pretty good in bed. I mean,
well, he's very confident to say things like that to her.
Yeah, so. That's what I mean. That's why all the women stick to him. You see, once you go Martin, you never go back.
So yeah, they then spend the rest of the episode sort of reminiscing about their life, and Martin is planning to move into the Fowler house with Bex. But she's drawn a photo of the family, and Sonia and Martin are in the photo.
Yeah, and Martin had bought her favourite dinner, but she didn't want to eat any of it.
No, it's not what she wanted.
No, chocolate mousse for tea. It's nothing what she wants. She wants her family back together. Yeah. But this is why it seems a bit strange, because they spent the whole episode quite well explaining that Martin and Sonia don't work together. And Sonia and Martin pretty much admit it to themselves in the end. After they've had a couple of arguments and fights, they admit with one another, you know what, we don't fit really. So for the benefit of us, our own sanity, perhaps we should go our separate ways. And then because Rebecca is like, oh, but I want to live together, Martin's like, then stops the black cab from driving away and says, oh, I love you, and that's all we need. And then they drive off with the Julius theme. Yeah.
Literally nothing.
But nothing to go with, yeah.
Nothing packed. It literally has nothing. Yeah, it was a bit strange. I mean...
Rebecca has a trunkie.
Yeah. But nothing else.
And nothing in it, just
and
a
then
picture.
That's the last time they're seen for like years as well, so...
Well, until Sonia comes back with her slimming pill problem, and Martin turns up and is like, what are you up to, Sonia? And has a brand new face.
Yeah.
And then they come back because Sonia runs away from Martin because they're just having this destructive
they're broken
relationship.
up but not broken up. Yeah.
I mean, throughout the soap, they've had this really destructive relationship, and then this last 5 minutes, they're like, "Nah, we'll be all right. We're going to Manchester. We'll be fine."
It would have been nice. I guess it would have been a bit like the Bianca and Ricky end if Sonia did actually say, "No, actually, I think we're better separate." But
I would have preferred that. But I suppose because there was a child there present as it was being said, Sonia had no choice in the matter.
And the guy who plays Martin wanted to leave, and
which is a shame because he was a good Martin.
Yeah, he was good. Although I do like the new one too.
It took me some warming to get used to the new Martin because I so adored the old Martin. But yeah, so it was a lovely scene. There was also, which was not really Julia's theme, but you saw Shirley. Shirley was starting to get introduced into the soap as well. This was before Mick had arrived as well, so there was no ties to her particularly, other than Kevin Wicks, who was missing in the episode. And you see this Shirley character, and it has echoes of what Pat was when she first came into the soap.
She's very different to what she's now, isn't she, Shirley, back then?
Yeah, and as is Pat at this point, because Pat's almost looking down her nose at Shirley, but this Shirley is what Pat, when she first came in, is disruptive, like telling people that then your father isn't your father, and it's really interesting to see this and seeing Pat.
Yeah, because Pat warns Peggy about Shirley, doesn't she?
Yeah, but for the exact same reason people were warning the
Pat
square
knows,
of Pat. Yeah, Pat knows a wrong one when she sees one.
Cut from the same cloth. Which brings us nicely on to our next episode, which is the 1st of April 2008, and this is a great episode. Like just watching it with no content, you just jump straight back into this. It's Frank Butcher's real funeral.
Yes, not the fake one.
Because the actor had died recently in real life, so they wrote it into the show that Frank Butcher died. And just amazing. Seeing Pat and Peggy have those scenes, just the two of them.
Yeah, when they're buttering bread for sandwiches.
Yeah, and they're getting ready for everything for the wake, and they're talking over their life with Frank and how it's just amazing. Just sitting there, you just instantly get right back into them.
Yeah, absolutely. The nostalgia kicks in when you just see a story with Pat and Peggy, and obviously when they're reminiscing about Frank as well. It's just so nice, and they bring up a few of the more memorable moments with Frank when he gives Pat a present, which she's not allowed to open around anyone else, and it's the spinning bow tie, and you just see the scene of him in the doorway with the bow tie.
Yeah, and they actually inserted clips from old episodes like into the episode as well, with Mike Reed. It's really nice. But I mean, we have that amazing "You Bitch, You Cow."
Yes.
Which is just the best remix online ever of that episode.
Because they're fighting, aren't they? Pat is leaving after the funeral to live. Is it Portugal again?
I think so, yeah.
And something about Portugal, isn't there? And Peggy is upset and that her best friend is leaving.
Yeah, but doesn't want to admit that she's her best friend. They have that relationship the whole time, don't they? They're like enemies. But best friends. They can't live without each other.
No, and so Peggy kind of deliberately tries to push Pat away by saying quite derogatory things about Frank, that Frank never loved either of them, Frank only loved himself. And Pat takes exception to this, and so starts saying, well, I know he loved me. And then Peggy gets angry, because then Pat starts defending Frank. And it's, as you say, it's a really good
Frank wasn't
scene.
getting enough from Peggy in bed, so he came to Pat.
Pat was much better in bed. Again, we learn so much from the soap.
It's just so funny. I love those two together, their rivalry. We don't get things like that anymore.
No.
But, I mean, the funeral was amazing. Well, Janine returned.
Janine comes back. A lovely reveal as well. You see her feet come out of the car, and then it's like, oh, Janine, and you. And she's actually not the bitter, horrible Janine you'd expect.
No, for Janine, she's quite grown up. Like, you could still see there was that side to her where she was being very false when she hugged Frank's other daughter. But for Janine, she was quite kind.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was another good scene when they all stood outside the church. And when you go into an event as a family, obviously as a family you kind of bitch and talk about each other in the family. And it was a lovely scene when Diane and Pat are talking about Janine before she actually comes and joins the group. And I liked that dynamic.
Yeah, and then that fakeness of like,
how are you?
Yeah, like the only time you see certain people, family, is at weddings and funerals, and they're like, oh, what are you up to now? I'm pregnant. Oh, I've got a girlfriend. I'm a lesbian. Oh, that's nice for you. I've got a nice new car. Yeah, it was interesting.
Although Janine also wanted like the acceptance of Pat's. Almost they share the sympathy that obviously Pat loved Frank, and it was said Frank was always favoured Janine as
Janine's favourite. Dot said that in front of Ricky and Diane,
which they seemed a bit upset about, but it's fine. And we also found out that his other daughter Claire had already said her goodbyes.
Yes, off screen.
But
it was mentioned, so that was nice.
Yes, exactly. And
Pat was in a red dress.
There was a lovely inner monologue, wasn't there? When she, which I don't think I've ever seen since, or up to that point. They've done it's a bit like when on a TV program when you see a letter and you hear them reading the letter. It can be a bit cheapened. It can seem a bit like an easy way out rather than talking directly. But it made sense with Pat, because I think Pat's very guarded. And so she wanted to say these words to Frank, but realised that it was quite a... And
it was all on her. It was all on her. Everything she was saying, it was all on her face as well. And
she's a great actress.
Yeah,
actually.
Very good. And then she took off her jumper, her coat, and she had her red dress on.
And Peggy's like, oh,
Scarlett says for funeral.
Yeah. Oh, the nerve.
It's just amazing.
And then that's when Phil looks up and says, you're only doing this because you're upset that she's leaving. And so then Peggy goes and sits next to Pat and they hold hands. Yeah. And it's, lovely. Really lovely movie.
And Peggy's kept saying like the whole time, oh, I'm not going to cry. I don't care. I don't care that he's dead. I don't give a fig.
No.
But then at the end, when she was set with Pat, they both were crying. So.
And the casket gets taken, and again they don't show too much of the funeral scene to make it look silly and over the top. It was done in a really good, sensitive way. We also got to see Bianca's return as well.
Yes,
with Tiffany and Whitney.
Yeah, that was the big return, which was like inserted in. I can't remember, but I think that must have been kept secret because it was like added in on the episode as like an insert. So that must have been like a secret surprise while you're watching the episode, because it was all filmed on location and stuff. So. Yeah, and we all know that was a big legacy because a lot of them are still there now.
Yes, well, yes, absolutely. And getting the big roles as well.
So lastly, to roll out the end of this 10 years, we've got the 27th of August 2009.
Yes, well, I mean, this it's such a shame that we had to end on such a sour note.
The Frank one was so amazing. Yeah, this is Gary Hobbs and Dawn Swan leave together on a boat.
If you could call it a boat. It was this tiny little wooden one-man.
It was really silly.
Barge.
Because like they were meant to be getting married, and then they found out that Dawn had slept with Phil.
Yes.
So then like the wedding was off, and Gary was just going to leave on his own. Dawn has like a chat with Darren, and he's sort of like, it's not even that like she realizes I don't know. She realizes she loves him, but like that she should settle for like someone. Like,
that's exactly
like a normal guy. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, because Jace says about his dad Jace, and says that if Jace was still here, and you were together, he wouldn't want to marry you because he's a bit wayward. He would do his own thing. And Gary's safe.
Yeah.
Gary's easy. A bit like Lofty and Michelle, I suppose. But yeah, he's safe. He's someone you should be with. And she always like a trigger in her head, like, oh, that's true. He's safe.
I'll settle there.
I'll settle with
him.
Really
weird. I don't quite get it.
So
I mean, I hate Gary anyway. I hated him from when he was with Lynn. I've always hated Gary. The fact that he was in there for 10 years is shocking.
Well, it was 9 years because he was introduced at the same time as the Slaters. So
it's shocking that he was there for that long.
He had a lot of stories as well. But mainly with Minty, though. I think a lot of people like the lad culture that Minty and... Because they tried to introduce a kind of lad story in the 90s, didn't they? With the young lads, when we were talking about the World Cup stories and stuff like that. But they seem to strike the right note with Minty and Gary. A lot of people liked them.
No, I don't. But I mean, Dawn, she chases him in her wedding dress. Everyone waves goodbye to her. She's like shouting to him on this little boat.
Yeah,
and she just hops on the boat with the baby.
He's going like at 5 miles per hour down this barge, this canal, and and she seems to think that he's going to actually go into the Thames and drive onto.
I know.
And also, she said, "Oh, next time I see Gary, he's going to be in the North Sea." Again, she needs to learn her geography lessons here. The Channel is where he'll probably end up first. I don't know, but
wasn't the best, wasn't the strongest one, but
I preferred the side story.
It
It happened, yeah. So yeah, I preferred the side stories though. I liked that Bradley. But no, Bradley with Gumbo the dog, because he wanted to keep Gumbo the dog, but the owner appeared. Again, recycled story.
And they stood on each side of the thing and called the dog, and whoever the dog came to is who got to keep it. Yeah, silly.
That silliness. And then, yes, obviously, Saeed hints of
him and Christian,
his affair with Christian, because he...
And they have like a mosque set, and it's really cool. They should bring that back.
I don't think it was a set, I think it was an actual
whatever,
mosque
they used it, though. It was really good. They should bring that back, I feel. Ending on a dampener, really, with Gary Hobbs there. Yeah,
I mean, it was fine. It was just, it was just a bit. I'm sure you can, if you find the clip on YouTube, just of Dawn and Gary Hobbs. Yeah, I mean, Dawn is a horrible character though, because there's 2 instances when in 2 episodes, this one and I think it's the Grant leaving episode, where Dawn is basically shown to be quite a selfish, horrible character. This instance where she slept with Phil just because she wanted to, and then before when she had the baby and she wanted to scam the doctor out of all her money and then run away with the doctor's husband to have the baby together. So Dawn was never a nice character. It's just a shame because the actress is really lovely.
But that's fine. We're going into a new decade next year. We've got a new producer, because this one had been there for like 6 years. So by the time this was happening, he was running out of steam,
Gary on a boat.
But no, we've got really good ones next time. We've got Bradley, Death, Bradley Funeral.
Well, don't say too much.
And we've got a Stacey and a Saeed. It's all going on. It's very exciting.
So more for Julia's legacy next
2010 week. Onwards is good.
Okay. Well, something to look forward to, listeners.
So there you go. That was Julia's legacy. Oh, I hope to never see that boat again. Basically.
It floated away.
All the people want it.
Oh, no. Well, yeah.
So, right, we're going to do the Mick storyline now. I would say the Mick and Mitch football storyline, but...
Well, there's not much to say about that, is there, really?
There's a football storyline which we won't be discussing.
Well, we will,
but not intensely.
There's like one funny bit in it, and then one bit where Mick has footballs thrown
The
at him.
B cast, basically.
Yeah.
The choir is back.
The choir
in another form.
Yeah, they're a team now. They're a football team. Goodness me.
So I mean, the football storyline when it comes down to it is basically Mick trying to become Mick Carter again after his time in prison. Something's happened, not quite as serious as I thought. Maybe I was a bit like, oh.
Well, he talks about it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
because...
but nothing actually happened. It's just how he was upset in prison, basically, which always happens. Like Martin Fowler last year, remember when he punched the policeman just like his Uncle Pete?
Indeed.
I hit him.
But you did too. If you convinced him of something, you did too.
Yeah, he's very similar to Pete, which upsets me.
I know, it's weird that they've done that. They've made him more like Pete than they have Arthur.
Yeah, I love Arthur.
Because when Dr. Legg appeared, he said, he's like his father.
Watch out for him.
Yeah, watch out for him. But I mean, Arthur's not a bad guy.
Watch out for Arthur. What are you on about?
Watch out for Pete. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Martin had that thing where, a bit shaken up for 2 weeks, and it was just nothing. Then that was it. It seems to be the same with Mick. Like nothing. Nothing juicy happened apart from obviously prison is a horrible place. That's like the message. I
mean, what did happen, we saw play out in front of us in those 2 gripping weeks when Mick was in prison. But anything after that, you just get the impression that he just kind of kept his head down and was tormented. I mean, he says, "You make a shiv out of anything: a baked bean tin, a toothbrush." And it's like they're almost cliches, weren't they?
It wasn't quite as deep as I was wanting it to be. No. Like he was all moody and he was punching the wall and he was really angry with Linda. I mean, it sort of comes out that he was quite jealous of what she did with Stuart, but she did that to get him out of prison. But he does know that.
What he kept saying is like, "Why you've done nothing for me? You've upset me. You did nothing for me." And it's like the whole time it's like, "Well, no, she did. Yeah. She did everything
the whole reason
for you."
All of this that was happening. Yeah.
And I guess he wasn't kept in the loop, and he said, "Oh, if you kept me in the loop, I would have done the whole time in jail, even if I was convicted for it. If I just knew that you were behind me and you supported me." And it's like, well,
no,
you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have. You would wait. Before the Linda thing, you were having trouble in prison.
Yeah, because people were filming him on phones and fake people being sent it. And so that's why Linda had to keep it secret from everyone. That's why.
Well, Linda was scared for Mick because she saw that Mick was getting into trouble in prison. And so I suppose in a way she kind of deliberately also distanced herself from Mick so Mick wouldn't feel like he had some courtesy in order to look after Linda whilst in prison for her. If you know what I mean. Linda can stand on her own 2 feet. And yes, she's had a lot of throwbacks and a few bad things happen to her. And yes, Mick has supported her. But Linda is a really strong character. And we said it at the beginning of the story when Mick first went to prison, that you were beginning to see the old Linda again. The Linda that could fight. And can look after her family and do it for the family.
I mean, the way she got through to Mick eventually is bringing little Ollie into it.
Yes.
She said you would have been able to cope 10 years, but you wouldn't have seen Ollie grow up. And that was the bit that got through to Mick, I guess, because he's the family man.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this is where this weird football coach storyline is happening.
Well, it's a distraction for Mick, isn't it? That was the whole point. It was like Mick wanted this distraction, and so he didn't have to have this conversation with Linda. And so for Monday and Tuesday, which we've already said was the very slow 2 days, he made a few jibes at the fact as like, oh, if you're having trouble, why don't you call Stuart? And he said. And Mitch didn't help by saying that he was under the thumb of Linda. So I think he emasculated Mitch as well because it took Linda to save him.
Yeah, do you think?
Maybe. I never really... It's something... There was something in Mick. I think Mick felt like he
wasn't the man.
He wasn't anymore. A man, but also that Linda had been soiled and that she wasn't the woman that he first dated because she did do this with Stuart. It's a really complicated thing, really.
Yeah.
But it was nice that they had it out. It was nice they had the scene on Thursday.
But then, the next day, they were back to normal.
Yeah, well, because really they had it out. Because he forgave her eventually after lots of to and froing. And again, Linda showed that she was almost the woman who wore the trousers in the relationship because she was the one who kind of told Mick, like, I did help you, I did do all this for you, I did this for the family. And it took Mick about 3 or 4 attempts, but eventually it knocked into his brain and he worked it out and he's
good. And then from there he could be a good football coach.
And then he becomes a good football coach.
Although there's one mum that doesn't like him very much. He's useless.
Well, that was hinted at the beginning of the episode where she kind of had better football skills than him, and that was another way he was emasculated because all the guys were going, you can't play football as good as a girl," and it's like, here we go.
She came back because the minibus hit Hayley, and so that wasn't arriving. So they ended up playing
for good reason.
Yeah, they ended up playing on the square on concrete, and then Billy wanted his son to be involved, and then all of a sudden everyone was involved.
Well, everyone wanted to be a starter forward. I have to put my hands up right now. I don't know what football's about. All I know is that they kick a ball around the field for a few minutes.
A field, not a street.
Oh yeah, not a cobbled. No, it's not cobbled, is it? But it's like not a street where a market normally is set.
Sunday, which was exciting.
Yeah, you very rarely see that.
Ages.
Unless it's like a religious holiday, you very rarely see a Sunday on the square.
So, all the casts were involved in this episode, which got people excited. But then when they watched the episode, not quite what we thought.
As you said, it was the choir cast.
It was, literally. And they were picking teams, and Ian chose last.
He did.
Billy was on one side, Adam was on the other side.
Yeah, so there was a rivalry there. Billy got chose before Jack. Yeah. Jack was like, can't believe got chose before Billy. Jack, as always, top of the mark, top of the class for his knowledge of knowing what things are going on.
I'm surprised Halfway wasn't playing football as well, because he
watched.
He watched but didn't play. He does all the charity ones with Danny Dyer and stuff in real life.
In real life, but in EastEnders land.
Well, in EastEnders he doesn't play football.
Halfway might be rubbish at football. He might have two left feet.
He was there with Sonia. Halfway and Sonia.
Were they? Where was Whitney the whole time?
Didn't see Whitney.
Which he might be serving in the bar, because no one was in the bar working.
Yeah. But there was that football storyline.
Oh yeah, Ruby was watching as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, so she was there. It's really weird. It must have been a day where they were like, do you think it was like the Christmas staff do that night, so they were all there. So they were like, can we just film this quick and then we'll close for 2 weeks.
They probably were having the staff do as they were filming, but the way that things were going on. I mean, Tina was having a whale of a time. She was jumping around, waving her arms around.
That was stupid. I didn't like her acting.
She was happy. I don't think that was acting. I don't think that was acting.
No,
I think it was genuine
like
enjoyment of what was going on.
Like that.
So we quickly throw back to the Mick and Linda thing, but there was a really lovely scene right at the end when Mick says to Linda that through everything she's been through, from being raped and she didn't like Stuart, that she did it anyway and helped him, and then that's where he forgave her. So we must mark that. That was a really nice, touching moment where they finally, Linda and Mick were back together.
Yeah, they were the best bits of this storyline this week, is those bits and not
the football
bit.
But the football wasn't even a bit in my mind.
It carries on next week though.
Yes, well, but they have to do
the mum's getting involved.
Oh, do they? They have to have a match at some point, like
a
proper match.
Oh, no,
not a adults versus kids match.
Yeah, well, we've got that mum to look forward to, so that'd be interesting to see what she brings.
Do you think the crowds will be all the people who were at the football match this week? So that, as we say, the choir cast.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, something to do, isn't it?
I just want Adam and Honey's storyline to happen.
It's like not happening. What are they doing with Adam and Honey?
Like, John York introduced Adam, and now John York's gone, but he didn't do anything with him. It's really weird.
But they've hit at the wedding, Mel's wedding again. Mel, what's happened to Mel? Mel's wedding. They hinted Adam's story, and then it's just forgotten. So
maybe it's another slow burner like the Gene thing.
Yeah, but you need to.
I don't know.
Yeah. But you need to see. You need to see what's happening to make it a slow burner. All you know is there's that Honey and Adam are dating, and
like,
Billy
you don't
is
even
jealous.
see them at home together, and stuff like that would be.
But more little scenes. Just like a little scene put in the week where Adam again belittles Honey a little bit.
Like
and
they go to Walford East and order something, and she pronounces something wrong on the menu or something.
It's Margarita, dear. Something like that. Just
little bit.
And Billy watches on from like behind the flower store.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And it can go from one table to another, and it could be two storylines, and it can just,
It's because they don't have a proper
jumble it up.
They don't have a proper restaurant in the square anymore, so you can't
Walford East.
Oh yeah, but they don't do anything. But Walford East is never inhabited. There's always just one.
Should be.
There's only just one couple there, plus a couple of the market traders.
That's like an easy way to have that thing that we like when it goes from one story and then goes over to another story, then goes back over. That's a really easy way because Ian could be there, Keegan could work there, Bex and Louise could be drinking there, and then Adam and Honey could be on a date.
You're right. They could, like the Vic, they could easily film 3 stories in one location.
That's what we want.
That's what we need.
Yes. Right. So next up is quite a short storyline, which is a direction I didn't think this would really be going. Is the Rainey storyline with her illness last week. Like Max is taking care of her because she's fainted and stuff.
Yes.
And it seems like she quite enjoys that the only time she gets attention from Max is because she's ill.
Yeah.
And she's becoming jealous of him.
Well, no, I don't think it's just jealous. It's just that she likes his attention. And so...
But he waved at a woman, remember? And she was got all upset.
Well, he was playing football. Yeah, because she went to see where he'd gone. Because he said he was going to the car lot for 5 minutes. And then he gets into the whirlwind world of this football storyline.
33 minutes.
Yeah. She was. Yeah, so she was timing it to the second, to the minute. And she goes outside with baby Abby, trademark, and she sees that Max threw a ball at a girl and a girl winked at him, and he was a bit like, you know what Max is like. Max will flirt with a rock if he had half the chance. And and so Rainey realises that this attention that she was getting from Max was actually something she was enjoying. So she hasn't made herself deliberately sick yet. But she did put the thermometer in front of the kettle. Yeah. I mean, that's like 110
I know,
degrees.
I thought that. It went like... I mean, God.
When you have a temperature, I don't think it goes as high as 100 degrees. Because surely your body would be boiling, literally boiling the water inside your body. So did Max not think that's a bit strange?
Max doesn't know anything, does he?
I know he's not. But
surely if he took a temperature again when he was there, it'd be like lower again. I don't know.
If you don't need a medical degree to know that if you're 100 degrees, that's boiling point.
Yeah, she literally put it on the kettle, didn't she?
She'd be like in SpongeBob SquarePants when all the moisture has been taken out of her because she sweated it all out from boiling. I don't know. It's nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a strange turn on this storyline. Like, their relationship is weird and I don't really get it anyway. But now that she's going to start pretending to be ill to get Max's attention from now on? Is that what's going to be happening?
I'm believing, yes. I believe that she might have something known as Munchausen's disease.
Oh,
yes.
What's that?
I may have pronounced that wrong, so I do apologise. But it's basically when you make yourself ill. You deliberately make yourself ill. So we know she has this addictive personality, Rainey. So it's something that I can believe she would probably be accepting to do. So she might drink like a little bit of, not bleach, but something that would make her deliberately sick. Because remember when she drank all that laxative,
yeah.
So she's done it once before to get
she
Max's
did that.
attention.
She wanted to do that to Max, but the cups got swapped by accident, didn't they?
Oh no, that's true. It. Yeah, my fault entirely. Yes. So, but she will do anything to get Max's attention because she thinks that her alone isn't going to do it. So yeah, she's making herself deliberately sick, which makes me wonder this whole story that we kind of thought was going to happen with Rainey stole the money. Is that actually happening?
Oh yeah, no one's noticed the money yet.
There's no one going to that drawer. No. Like on Abby's birthday, people went in and out of that drawer about 5 times. Gets candles, scissors, ribbon.
Yeah.
But now that it's over, then no one seems to care.
I mean, at least it looks like they're not doing that I'm pregnant storyline, so that's good.
That's true.
And it's a curveball which we didn't see coming, so that's nice. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how extreme she goes with this. Like, is it going to be another one? You know, like Ange and Dirty Den. I'm going to die in 6 months. Is it going to be similar? Is she going to do something like that? Is it going to be?
Or maybe they're recycling the stories in that way.
Not exactly the same, but something similar.
I think Rainey would actually take it so far that she would actually do something to herself to make herself ill. So she realised that after a couple of days... after a couple of days, she would realise that I can't just keep putting the thermometer in front of the kettle. So she'll find another way of like making herself ill. Like I say, maybe drinking a little bit. Because a lot of people do it by proxy, Munchausen, and so they make someone they love ill, so they're dependent on them.
Right.
So maybe she'll like... I don't know, maybe she'll just take something that will make her stomach upset or something like that.
Maybe one day she'll do it too far and nearly die, something like that. Interesting.
But then, again, we don't really know what made her faint in the first place. So was that deliberate on her behalf? Or was it, I don't know, was she overworked? Or we don't really know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, funny old story.
Interesting to see how that goes on. And so, right, we're going on to our new section next.
Yes, everyone's favourite new section.
Yes, which is our discussion of classic EastEnders on the Drama Channel.
There's a magical mystery tour of the human digestive system in Body Matters in half an hour on BBC One after this evening's episode of EastEnders.
Right, now I don't want to upset you, but Pete, Bill and Kathy nearly didn't feature this week.
It was just right at the end, wasn't it? On the cusp of the week.
But our Pete was back in force.
He was
on election day.
Yes, the election of 1987, and Lou shouted at all the electorates: "Ask no questions, say no lies."
That's so funny.
I mean, she first of all she did it with the Tories, the Conservatives, then she did it with the Liberals, and I thought, oh no, she won't do it with the Labour, but yeah, she did the Labour Party as well.
She won't any of them.
And she knows, I hope that's the last of you.
She knows who she's voting for. She doesn't want to listen to anything else.
So does Wilmot Brown. He knows who he wants to vote for because he had a big argument on the street with Colin.
He does, yeah. Doesn't want to read leaflets.
No, he knows. He's a man of his own mind. He doesn't need to know. And Colin's like, open your mind. You know, let other thoughts in. He's like, nah, I don't want any of that liberal rubbish going into my mind.
I mean, I'm enjoying that Lou seems to be used a lot more. at this week.
Yeah.
She's back. She's in the Vic. She's all over the place.
She's wafting everywhere, isn't she?
She's ordering people to come visit her. I love it.
I love that she can order people to visit her.
And they all do.
And yeah, and Pauline's like her messenger. She's like, oh, Pat, Lou wants to talk to you. And every time someone wants to talk to Lou, everyone's face drops and they get really upset.
But they can't say no.
No, but Lou did go and visit Den, so she made an effort to go see Den. As
a favour. She wants Pat out of Ethel's.
Yeah.
Because Ethel asked Lou for help, of course.
Well, she wants to move back into the Doctor's old flat.
Yeah.
And Dr. Legg did remind her that obviously she used to clean for him, so he now gets £10 a week rent.
I know.
From
She
Pat.
can only afford 4.
Well, no, 3. She lowered him down to £3 a week. I mean, again, it's one of those moments when you just think, oh, I wish we lived in the 80s.
Poor Dr. Legg, he's so sweet as well.
I know.
He didn't say no to her, he just went, I'll think.
Well, no, he made a promise. He promised, and he's a man of his word,
Yeah.
Dr. Legg.
Aww.
And so he asks Pat, and Pat won't budge. He asks Den to ask Pat, and Den says, I'll only ask Pat if Pat asks me. So that's it.
Yeah.
Lou's like that. Get Pat around mine now. And she does give Pat a good incentive to do it.
Really good chat. I love Lou's wisdom chat she has with the characters. They're just so amazing. And she basically says to Pat, she goes around her a few different ways. Some don't work, so she then tries another approach. And she goes, if you want to be popular, this is what you need to do, and you'll be the most popular girl on the square.
Yeah, and Pat at first is like, no, I don't want to be. But then you can see inside of her the heart has broken, and she's like, oh, actually, I do. I want to be accepted in this community, really.
So, she says to Ethel, I'm moving back to Vic, and you can have your thing back.
Yeah,
and
Ethel gives her a big kiss, a French kiss.
Yeah.
She goes, and Pat's really surprised, but someone's not so happy about it.
I know. I did feel my heart did break for Dot.
I
the look on her
know.
face, because she went over and said, "Oh, what's everyone laugh? Did I miss a joke again?" And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, you know what's about to happen.
I mean, she is annoying everyone with her wireless radio pack,
love
or what
it.
they keep calling it, her Walkman,
It's amazing.
which she won last week. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And she wears the headphones upside down, and she talks loud. It's brilliant. Every time she has the music on, she talks really loudly to people, and so people have to talk back to her, because there's that conversation she has with Colin, and Colin's like shouting at her while she's like talking, and the whole pub can hear, but it's the only way you can get through to Dot, because she refuses to get rid of them.
Yeah, it's great. And there was a nice bit with Dot and Colin. They sort of made up as well.
Well, Dot said that she's happy that they made up because she doesn't have many
Missed their
friends,
talks,
and she
yeah.
missed their friendship. And Colin just felt the same way, so she accepts Colin now and his lifestyle with Barry.
That's nice though.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, because no one said to her, "Oh, Dot, she did it out of her own accord," which is quite nice.
I mean, the only one who really annoys me and still makes little jibes at Colin, and that is Mr. Peter Beale.
Yes, of course.
He just constantly looks from a side and keeps saying weird things like, "Oh, you don't have any problem with women, do you, Colin?" It's like, "Oh, nice one, Pete." Yeah,
But he was asking him for advice as well. So Pete's a bit two-faced, really, isn't he?
He's always two-faced.
Yeah.
That's what I've said from the beginning. His conversations out loud are two-faced when he's talking to the person, because he always changes his mind. He's like, I can't do that. All right, then I'll do that. And it's like, oh, for goodness sake, Peter. Anyway, he's busy now because they've decided that Kathy and Peter, because they work together all day, they need separate interests.
Oh God.
So Kathy's obviously finishing her Samaritan training. So, and which we've seen throughout the week. She's given people good advice, and
It's been going for ages. That.
Yeah, she's fine. She knows
No
what
more
she's up
about
to.
her daughter yet, so that's interesting. That'll come up soon.
Yeah, but that's coming up, isn't it? But Peter decides he's going to take up a bit of country and western dancing, and so for the occasion, he's bought a western hat, a cowboy
He even
hat.
tipped his hat as well when he was talking.
With his finger.
Yeah.
With his finger, he just kind of, because he just lifted it up as he was making a bet of who's going to win the general election. It's like, for goodness sake, Pete. You like, oh, I don't know. But anyway, I'm hoping that it's similar to the when he dresses up in drag, that he's going to be made to dance, doing a public display of his dancing,
chaps and stuff, and
walk into the pub,
boots.
punch Ian in the face again and run away, and then start crying in the flat.
And there's been a few departures, because this is obviously the time where original contracts are running out now. So we have said goodbye to the wonderful Debbie Atkins.
I know.
With the most poorly written exit storyline in history.
Probably the most rushed I've seen.
Oh, and with a horrible man as well. and goes against everything about her character.
Well, we've mentioned their relationship last week, and they've had their engagement party that was at the Vic.
But even at the engagement party, the policeman was like, "Oh, yeah, we'll get out of this dump, Walford," and everyone just looked at them, and Debbie's there like smiling.
I can't wait.
Oh, you're just being silly.
Yeah. Come on, everyone, let's dance to Simon's piano. It's
such a shame, Debbie. That was.
But they were building Debbie up to be like this. Her and Neymar,
modern women,
to be these modern women, and they had this. Their story together was great, and then Debbie just got taken away in a whirlwind romance and gone, and now Neymar feels really isolated and doesn't really have a purpose anymore. She had a purpose with Debbie, so she's not long for this world.
No, not long for Walford,
which is a huge shame because I hope she doesn't take the Doctor with her, because that Doctor. He is the eye candy of the 80s EastEnders. I mean, Ian Beale is no eye candy, is he? No. His lanky body.
No, but I know. No, he does leave. I think it's this year he leaves.
Oh, I'm going to stop watching. That's it. I've decided.
He does come back though, but as a different character.
Really?
Which is in the 2004, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really bad. They should have just had him be the same character.
Oh, does he come back as a Doctor, but a different Doctor? That's ridiculous.
I know.
They should have just made him, because that would have been a nice throwback
I know.
too. For us avid viewers.
2004. No, it's somewhere around then. But it's silly, isn't it?
That's really silly.
But yeah, his leaving storyline's really like. I'll wait until it happens.
Okay, we'll talk about it when it happens. Yeah. So you shouldn't be reading ahead. You should be.
I was looking him up. That's why.
Yeah, but you should be digesting it with all of us. These old episodes.
I wanted to see what he looks like now.
Someone else left though, haven't they?
Yes, another one's left. Tony Carpenter, so he's off.
He's gone back to his homeland for 6 months, as he said.
Never to return.
Well, never to return. Yeah, because they kind of give the indication that because he says, "I want to come home to a flat for a home base," because Calvin's given up his house now to Ian and his girlfriend. God,
she's useless.
I know she is. I love you, Ian.
Also, who's useless is Morag. Don't like her.
Morag, is
Den's
that the one?
Like weird
the one who's doing the
canteen woman / girlfriend. But she just appeared one day and she was his girlfriend.
I actually quite like her.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that Sharon you can see that Sharon is already looking up to her.
No.
So you can see future Sharon in Morag. You can.
There's something about the actress. I don't know. I don't like her. She's like
confidence.
No, she's like annoying, but I don't know. The way she delivers her lines is something a bit off.
Well, she has to be more confident than Den. She has to be more confident than him. So I suppose that arrogance maybe verges.
There's something about the actress. When I see her, it just annoys me.
Oh, I like her. I like
know
Morag.
why.
I just wish she would do more in the pub rather than keep going off. She keeps going off to these
busy
events.
women.
Yeah, but I thought that she was hired to do all the events in the pub. I was naive in that.
There is no events.
Were they? No.
She did just appear from nowhere though, didn't she? Being Den's girlfriend.
I think Den was flirting with her. And
that was a different blonde woman, wasn't it?
No, it was one night when she was in the pub and Den was flirting with her, and then that's when Debbie looked up and said, "We want to have a party in the pub," and Den was like, "I can't organise something like that," and she said, "I can organise something like that if you want me to."
It's very random though, so I don't like her.
Oh well, wow! Your first negative, other than Peter, obviously, Pete Bill.
No, there's a few that I don't like.
Oh really?
Debbie's policeman boyfriend.
Yeah, but he's gone now.
Oh yes, true. I love Neymar.
I know you do.
She shouts.
She shouts at everyone.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah, randomly as well. It's like just have a normal conversation right now and then just be no, and then runs away.
But very exciting times on Classic EastEnders.
We must quickly mention also Punk Mary's dad's beautiful pink truck.
Oh yeah, and her evil mum.
Yes.
She reminds me of Catherine Tate with her accent.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? With her Irish. Is it Irish? No, it's not. It's a Liverpudlian accent. Yeah, and she's hugely religious. And they've taken Mary's baby. They've taken Annie. They've taken Annie away from her.
Punk Mary's going off the rails. So
she is. Well, she had her court case and she has to pay £1 a week for her fine for soliciting on the street. But she doesn't know how to pay it. She hasn't got the money.
She's still after the money.
She still needs the money. She worked in the cafe, but to much disappointment. She couldn't even butter a piece of bread.
I know, she cut a sandwich. It was like half
a loaf of bread. I know. And then she made the sandwich.
Need a bit more filling.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, and there you go. That was your weekly roundup of Classic EastEnders on the Drama Channel. So tune in and you can join in with us next. Oh, one amazing thing which you noticed was the continuity of an extra who was looking for his friend. Yes,
right. If you catch up on the Drama Channel, I can't remember. It was on Friday. I think it was the second episode on Friday.
There's a man in a leather jacket.
There's a man in a leather jacket. There's 3 scenes. It is outstanding. I spotted it just by chance. By the first scene he goes into the cafe. He walks in and you see him and he's notably looking for someone.
It's like when Ian's talking to his girlfriend or Calvin, I think.
Something along that.
Yeah, and he's in the background.
It's just an extra and he looks around, he's looking for someone and he can't find them, leaves the cafe. Later on in the market, the same man is then walking up and down the market and he's kind of, you can see he's asking people, have you seen Dave or whatever his name is, have you seen this person? And people are saying, no, I don't think so. And so he walks through the market. Then there's a scene in the Vic. The same guy walks in and he goes, hey, Dave, like that. It was outstanding. That was amazing. I think
those little bits.
That was clever. That scene, and it's not even meant to be noticed, I don't think. No. It's just something that...
And that was actually written in.
That was
amazing.
But they must have thought it through because obviously they filmed the inside, exterior, and interior at different times of the day, week, whatever. I mean,
that's amazing.
That was amazing. So, 1987 EastEnders writer and/or director producer of that episode, I applaud you. And honestly,
they see that in many things, not even high budget things.
I mean, if they did it in a modern EastEnders, I will make a whole episode based on it.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
We'll do a whole section based on the character looking for his friend if they did it soon again.
Very impressed with that.
So if you spot little things like that perhaps Ben and I didn't spot, then do get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Just look for EastEnders Weekly Podcast. And that was the Classic EastEnders Roundup of the Week.
For now, this is Malcolm Einan wishing you a very good night on behalf of everybody here at the Television Centre.
Right, get ready for your heart to be broken, because this storyline was devastating to me.
It was really sad, wasn't it? It was really upsetting.
The Dr. Legg storyline continuing.
And it kind of just went all kinds of different directions, didn't it? Because it began with Dr. Legg saying to Dot that Stuart had stolen his photo from his wallet, and Dot basically knocking Stuart down a few pegs. Yes,
and almost hinting at a redemption, possibly, for Stuart now. Like, the 100% villain seems to be slightly taking a different turn, because she chats to Stuart about it and about Nick and how she couldn't quite save him, and maybe Stuart's going to be ending up being the one person that Doc can change and save, and she seems to get through to him, and he does seem to change. He gives the thing back to the photo back to Dr. Legg. He does some washing up.
Well, he does, yes. That's a great scene when
it
Stuart...
doesn't come naturally to him by the end of it.
No, it doesn't. When he puts on the marigolds and the pinny, and then he just looks really sternly out the window while he's scrubbing at a plate.
I thought he was going to smash the china set or something, but no, he just did the washing up.
Well, I thought it was leading to something. I thought it would show him kind of doing this washing up really angrily, and then kind of maybe going into Dr. Legg's room and taking something, or just doing something. I don't know, making his life a little bit more hellish. But no, you're right. I think Dot did say to Stuart that she tried to get through to Nick, her son, and couldn't. So she's not going to try with him. And Stuart quite genuinely looks up and says, the only reason I do all this is because no one gives me any love or attention, and you have, and I'm scared that I'm losing it because now you're looking after Dr. Legg. And Dot kind of acknowledges that and says, well, yeah, but you can't do that. That's not how you get people to love you. You've got to just be by their side and look after them. And you're right. I think there's a switch in Stuart that kind of was like, yeah, I think you're right.
I can do better.
I can wish upon a star.
Yeah. And at the same time, we had the storyline where, obviously, ages ago it was now, but Dr. Legg's parents' graves were vandaled.
Yeah.
And they've been restored, and the boys who did it have been caught, but they want a chance to see Dr. Legg in person. A bit like the Carmel and the Shaquille killer thing.
Well, yes, but not so fatal.
Yeah, but the boy wanted to see Carmel and talk to her.
Yeah,
the same sort of thing happened because Dr. Legg went over and to see them.
You're right, because they give the impression that they're kind of doing it. They're sorry, and they might be doing it because they think they're going to get let off lighter for doing it. Yeah, because the rabbi comes to the square, doesn't he?
Yes, they have tea.
They do have tea, and they have those delicious looking cakes. I forget what they were called now. They looked nice though, didn't they? And so he goes to so Dr. Legg does. He says, "I want to look at them in the eyes," and I love the way Dr. Legg speaks. I look at the eyes, and
really good scene though with those boys and what he says to them, and really, really good.
I mean, they seem to. Again, though, is this basically a contrast of Stuart? That we seem like maybe they look like they're taking it in, but in actual fact they didn't, and the whole time they were planning to, do more nasty stuff to Dr. Legg, because they do go then back to Dot's house while Dot waits for Dr. Legg with a glass of milk.
What is for his milk?
His milk, I know. It's like a child, an overgrown child.
Oh, no, do you not remember when she went to Dr. Legg because she thought she was ill? Didn't he say something about...
Have a glass of milk?
Yeah. There you go. He's practicing what he preaches.
I know, but it does have connotations of like a child, doesn't it? It's like, I've got you a glass of milk.
Keep his bones strong and healthy.
I mean, that's not true. There's not enough calcium in milk.
Well, you take it up with Dr. Legg if you want to.
If
you want to upset a man, a dying man.
I mean, if anyone should know,
best.
if anyone should know, a doctor should know, and Dr. Legg obviously would know better than I would.
I loved Dr. Legg's like black coat and hat as well, I must say.
Yeah, very
stylish.
He is a stylish man. Well, he wears a nice suit every morning as well. He puts on the effort when he wants to. He looks good.
Yeah, so he came home and Stuart is like cleaning the house.
Well, no, Stuart's scrubbing the door.
Yeah, because the kids have been over
and they painted a swastika on the door, and this is obviously Dr. Legg had the wind knocked out of him again, and Stuart's like, I didn't want you to see it, I wanted to get off the door before you saw it. And yet again, Stuart seems really genuine, like he's trying to get that
I think it was, because
off
some
the door.
people were questioning whether he arranged the kids to do it, but Stuart did genuinely seem like he wanted to.
But I think he wanted to remove it from the door because I think he was afraid that Dot would turn up and then blame him for it. So I think, yes, he felt bad for Dr. Legg, but I think there was more that Stuart was worried that this was going to be pushed onto him, and so it would be his fault. I mean, this is when the drone came in as well. So is this the big drone storyline? We're going to see who actually painted the swastika.
Yeah, because you saw the kids run off, so you know it was the kids.
But Stuart smiled when he chased them away. He's like, "Oi!" like that, and ran off. He then smiled.
That's before he knew what they did, though, wasn't it?
Well, so like kids will be kids kind of smile, maybe
something like that. But I mean, then we had that horrible scene.
The scene at the end.
Oh.
I mean, my heart broke.
He was just on the chair. He was crying. Is he dying? Like, what was going on?
Well, that's it. He was crying on the chair, but he was clutching his chest. So it would give the impression... Are you crying?
No, I'm not.
It would give the impression that he was having a stroke or a heart attack, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because he also became, at the end, a bit motionless. But you said, no, he's not. He's breathing. But he did. He kind of did. He was like crying and shaking. And then all of a sudden it just stopped.
Yeah, but then it went to the
diff went off,
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's not his end, because I think he needs like a proper episode of him and Dot, like, to be his end. A bit like Ethel, and I think
a two-hander.
Maybe not a two-hander, but something a bit more.
Yeah, there needs to be a nice conversation.
Yeah,
again, a throwback. Because Dot is really the last kind of grip they have on the history of EastEnders. Obviously Ian, but Dot is the one, and with Dr. Legg,
emotional grip.
It'd be it'd be nice to just do, even if it's like the last scene that Dr. Legg has is that he's having a nice conversation with Dot.
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be awful if they killed him because of something Stuart had done, which a lot of people were presuming was about to happen.
No, I wouldn't like that.
But then I suppose if it was to end that Dr. Legg had died from that graffiti, and then Stuart was found trying to clean it off quick, then Dot would immediately blame Stuart, and then Stuart's been cast out again.
When Stuart goes down for it.
No.
I don't know what you...
Would you be
I'm
done
not sure,
for
actually.
Manslaughter by association or something? But, I mean, Stuart would be outcast again, and then this would produce Stuart to then become evil Stuart again.
Yeah.
And I mean, just when we thought Stuart perhaps was on the road to redemption, now something that was out of his own control, he's now going to be thrown back into the fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think what made that scene extra, like, not harrowing, but emotional, is because the actor who plays Dr. Legg is so frail as well, and he's 97 in real life, and it just looked so horrible. It brings back a lot of things you may have seen in your own life.
When you've got grandparents and they're very frail, and the last thing they need, or you want anyone to have, especially when they know they're dying, is this memory that they had, that they were being mocked and laughed at by someone. They're having a hate crime thrown against them, and it's relentless. And it's one thing to graffiti your parents' grave, but then to do it on your own doorstep, it's just really
Yeah,
It's nasty.
The end of we know that Dr. Legg's going to die. He's got terminal illness. We just need maybe a bit of happiness because he was quite happy before, wasn't he?
He is happy. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, dogs!
So just want a little bit of happiness before he goes, I think.
So one last scene.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind the kids getting their comeuppance as well. I know that probably will
was part
ultimately
of the
happen.
last
Yeah, I'd like him to
thing
be
for him.
Yeah, like that could be his last memory. Like he goes, like they get the put down or something like that, and then he goes home and like, oh, I've made your warm milk.
Yeah, and that's it for him. He
and
can
then he
go.
sleeps gently into his
Yeah, that would be nice.
into the night.
Bless him. But yeah, really upsetting.
I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if they haven't used Dr. Legg's death as fodder for a nasty story. But then, in a funny way, it would be great for a character associated with it to have Dr. Legg's death associated in some
but not
way.
Stuart.
Yeah,
No.
but it would really work for Stuart. It would work good for Stuart.
No, veto that.
You can veto all you like, but it's not up to us.
I know. Right, so we're going to go off and play a quick game of some interrogation, and then we'll be back with the results of who won the week.
Why are you putting on those rubber gloves?
Alex,
Yes.
a crime has been committed on the square again.
Oh my goodness, it's just the crime central. Albert Square is like their property prices must be like so low because there's so much crime.
I know. I mean, I have witnessed who did the crime, but I don't want to say.
Okay.
So Jack Branning has brought me into his interrogation room, one that he rents, one of his many flats.
By the way, this is Ben auditioning for his new role as a TV star, as you can tell by his wonderful acting.
Hardly. So you have 60 seconds to question me and see if you can work out who it was that I saw commit the crime on Walford. And I'm not back in time this time, I'm in present day.
Oh, okay. So
I didn't accidentally fall back in time, but I may again in the future or the past. So you must ask me a yes or no question, and you have 60 seconds to do so.
Okay, I'm all ready to go.
Right, so my witness statement is as follows. This week I was still covering for Kathy at the cafe while she was away on holiday.
Well, you've been covering for a long time.
When a girl slapped Tiffany. Everyone turned around to look, but I was too busy buttering bread to even bother. What I did notice, though, was someone who stole a cheese toastie off the side when no one else was looking.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I don't want to get anyone into trouble, but if you can guess who I saw, I have no choice but to tell you.
You're not grass, are you, Ben?
No.
You're no grass.
I ain't no cockney grass. Right, so in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, is this a child actor who
No.
stole the cheese toastie? Does this actor, or is this an actor or an actress? Sorry,
Mate,
is it male?
yes.
Okay. Has this person have a history in stealing stuff from the cafe?
Yes.
Does he also have a penchant of stealing children from people?
Yes.
Does this person have 3 other children, 2 of which are named after Sesame Street characters?
Yes.
Oh, I'm just going to stretch it out. Does this character wear a leather jacket?
Yes.
Does this character recently opened a funeral service called Over the Moon Funerals?
No.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
not what it's called.
It's not what it's called. Okay, fine.
You have 10 seconds.
Okay. Is
9?
it Alfie Moon?
Yes, it is. It was
Yay!
Alfie Moon.
He probably did it for his children. He probably did it to feed his young'uns.
Tommy.
And Bert and Ernie.
And Cherry.
No, Cherry doesn't eat solids yet.
Yeah, melted cheese.
That is a solid. That's milk in the Slater household. Fondue.
That's correct. It was Alfie Moon who stole the cheese toastie.
What a cheesy. He's ever since he's come back, he's just been a dirty character, hasn't he?
Thief.
A
And a wrong-un.
tea leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, abuser of women. But yes, there we go. So yeah, what's his sentence? Now he's going to be facing a court.
6 months on stage pantomime. He's going to be written out of the show for 6 months now.
Oh, he's going to do a pantomime in the
that.
summer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that really is a punishment.
That was Jack Branning's witness protection.
Another winner for me on the interrogation game. Thank you very much. I will take my cash prize in the form of a cheque. Actually, I should take my cash prize in the form of bonds for Alfie Moon's funeral service.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
Don't pay him any money. So we're on to our last section of the week now.
We started last week a new section called Who Won the Week, where we ask our Twitter, Facebook and Instagram followers who won the week by choosing a character and the story that they're associated with. And we give 4 options for you to choose from, but we encourage you to also give your own options, as I say, on our Facebook, our Instagram or our Twitter accounts.
If Dr. Legg hasn't won, I'm rioting.
Oh, you threatened to write last week if Alfie won, so now you're doing...
and he didn't.
And he didn't. Yeah, but you left it too late this time. You actually mentioned that on our Facebook group page, but...
Yes, but Dr. Legg deserves to win.
Okay, well...
Here's an option.
She is...
Good.
Sorry, yes, he is an option. God, you got me all flustered. So, the options we offered was Dr. Legg, Kat, Linda, and the kids' football team.
Boo. If they win, I'm right.
I think they're a collective effort. Fair enough.
B-cast.
We also had a suggestion of Stuart on our Twitter and Mick on our Facebook page. So they've been included too. And Stuart actually got quite a few votes once he'd been suggested as well.
Oh my God.
So let's see what happened there. So I shall do them in reverse order. So in last place of Who Won the Week with 1 vote was Mick with 1%.
Good.
In 5th place with 5 votes was Stuart with 3%. In 4th place with 16 votes was Kat at 12%.
Oh my God.
In 3rd place with 18 votes was the kids' football team. So it's about the same number of kids as there were votes.
Ooh,
maybe it was the kids voting.
Yeah.
Never know. And they had 13%. Now, who do you think won then between Linda and Dr. You think it's Dr. Legg?
No, it'll probably be Linda. No, I don't know. Dr. Legg. I have high hopes.
So the winner was... Let's pretend there's a drum roll happening. I can hear it in my head. With 59 votes, Linda, she won, and Dr. Legg came second with 36 votes at 27% of the vote. So Linda won the week, according to our listeners.
Good for her.
As I say, you can find the poll at the end or near the end of Friday's episode, and it's a quick poll. It's a snap poll, so it's only up for about 6 hours, and it's on our Twitter, which is at EastEnders Week, our Instagram, which is at EastEnders Weekly Podcast, or our Facebook group. You need to join. All you do is search EastEnders Weekly Podcast, and then you can join our group.
Yes, it's private.
It is. Just
not
for us.
secret, but private.
For our eyes only. And it could be yours too.
Yes. So we've just got a few comments to go through from all the social medias. So we've got a few here on the Stuart storyline about his redemption. So Matt Cherry says, well, if there is a chance of him finding redemption, I guess that rules out him killing Dr. Legg, as there would be no way to come back from that. So there you go.
Ooh, very interesting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then someone else said, he's such a good villain to waste, but Ricky Champ is such a good actor that he could probably pull off a rehabilitated Stuart.
Well done. I've also got a tweet about Stuart too.
Oh.
It's from @SamanthaJane5, and she says, Stuart, he is fantastic in all episodes he's in. He deserves to win the best performance, best actor, and best bad boy.
Ooh.
So she's thinking about the future.
All
The
of them.
soap awards.
Yeah. A few on the Mick storyline. Irish Torrent says, I'm bored of the football team storyline. It would have made sense doing it when the World Cup was on, but not in January. I wish they would drop it, but it seems like it's going to be around for a while.
I mean, I agree with that, and I don't know if I said it on the show, but it should have been a World Cup story. It would have made good sense.
Yeah. Walford on ice, that's what we want.
We certainly do.
So on Hayley this week, a special guest star said, these classic characters just have so much integrity. I'm so glad the classic episodes are on drama to remind us of how strong things were. I honestly can't believe they've just repeated the same duff between 2 episodes with a character no one likes or cares about. I think about Hayley because she was dead on the toilet and then she was dead on the road.
Oh yeah.
2 episodes in a row. I mean, same cliffhanger.
We've missed a trick here. We could have done the same duff this week, couldn't we? That would have been a nice little joke.
We've not done it yet, so.
Oh no, that's true. Stay tuned.
So we've got Kathy Lars. I am so sick of this unconscious, woe is me professional victim, Hayley. Kick her out and call social services. When she threatens to run away, for goodness sake, let her. So yeah, a lot of hate for Hayley.
Really? And this is what I don't really get it. I mean,
I think she's been shoved down our throats a bit this year.
That's this year, these past 3 weeks.
Oh, you know. Oh, sorry.
I know what you mean. I know.
The year that she's been on the show. Jared says, I loved the Max and Hayley interaction this week. It was very sweet. So that was when he sort of came across her that was like mixing 2 storyline paths.
No, we like that, don't we?
Where he came across her and he almost hinted that maybe she won't be a very good mum and stuff like that.
Oh, so Max was the one who started all this then? See, I didn't even spot that scene. I must have turned off for a second when that happened.
And then just a general comment overall. It's from Krista, and she says, are they making the stories this bad on purpose so that when the episodes from the new executive producers start, we all think it will be amazing?
Oh, maybe, yeah. But I don't think Kate Oates really needs to have a slow intro, a cold intro into this. So I think she'll do well either way.
Good point.
But thank you for your comments. As always, we've told you about Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email us, eastendersweekly@gmail.com. Just a quick little reminder of everyone as well that there is a Sean Marn interview out there in the wild.
There is Ray Kelly.
We had a chat with him at the beginning of this week, and it got released on Wednesday. It was really great to talk to him, and we're really grateful again. Yes. And you can find it on the usual channels you listen to your podcast.
Yeah, so listen to that so you can get all up to date with when the storyline begins again.
When Mel and Hunter return.
Yes.
Well, lovely end to the week.
Yep, now we've finished recording. Would you mind just cleaning out all the cat litter tray, please?
That's not fair. I don't want to. It smells and it's not my turn.
You do it now.